partageons tous la même destination. Nous travaillons tous ensemble comme un. En ce lieu, il n'y a qu'une seule vision. Et c'est d'être le numéro un.
We all have the right combination. Care and quality, there's no compromise. Win the very best will be our mission. It's something that we need to realize. It's something very special in our eyes.
We have potential. Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got. Let's all meet this position. We can overcome the odds.
We can overcome it all.
To the lead. We are number one.
We are number one.
We are number one.
Machaco, Prudential, Acham, Assalamu alaikum, Prudential, Jambaboti.
Take one more step, reach out for excellence. We'll do whatever it takes to touch the sky. I will help each other reach our aspiration. We know that we can do it if we strive.
We are potential.
We are Prudential.
Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got.
Give it all we got.
Meet this position. We can overcome
We can overcome it all. We can overcome it all.
We are number one.
We are number one. We are number one. We are number one.
We are number
Prudential, que Dieu l'a besoin.
Nous partageons tous la même destination. Nous travaillons tous ensemble comme un. En ce lieu, il n'y a qu'une seule vision. Et c'est d'être le numéro un.
We all have the right combination. Care and quality, there's no compromise. Win the very best will be our mission. It's something that we need to realize. It's something very special in our eyes.
We have potential. Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got. Let's all meet this position. We can overcome the odds.
We can overcome it all. To the lead.
We are number one.
We are number one.
We are number one.
Machaco, Prudential, Acham, Assalamu alaikum, Prudential, Jambaboti.
Take one more step, reach out for excellence. We'll do whatever it takes to touch the sky. I will help each other reach our aspiration. We know that we can do it if we strive.
We are potential.
We are Prudential.
Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got.
Give it all we got.
Meet this position. We can overcome.
We can overcome it all. We can overcome it all.
We are number
Hi.
Hello.
Credentials.
Hi. I'm PruB, your virtual assistant. I answer all your questions instantly. Information on your policy number, your policy information, your payment history, and your mobile premium payment. I am available on WhatsApp 24/7.
Salut. C'est PruB, votre assistante virtuelle. Je réponds à toutes vos questions instantanément.
Obtenez les informations précises sur votre numéro de police, information de votre police, historique de vos paiements et enfin, les paiements mobiles de vos primes. Je suis disponible sur WhatsApp, 24 heures sur 24.
Salut. C'est PruB, votre assistante virtuelle. Je réponds à toutes vos questions instantanément.
Obtenez les informations précises sur votre numéro de police, information de votre police, historique de vos paiements et enfin, les paiements mobiles de vos primes. Je suis disponible sur WhatsApp, 24 heures sur 24.
Credentials. Dieu la besoin.
Nous partageons tous la même destination. Nous travaillons tous ensemble comme en ce lieu, il n'y a qu'une seule vision. Et c'est d'être le numéro 1.
We all have the right combination. Care and quality, there's no compromise. Win the very best will be our mission. It's something that we need to realize. It's something very special in our eyes.
We have potential. Our values still alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got. We are so need this position. We can overcome.
Take one more step, reach out for excellence. We'll do whatever it takes to touch the sky. And we'll help each other reach our aspiration. We know that we can do it if we strive.
We are potential.
We are potential.
Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got.
Give it all we got.
Need this position.
We can overcome it all. We can overcome it all.
We are number one.
We are number one. We are number one. We are number one.
We are number
Credentials, the Dieu l'adoption.
Nous partageons tous la même destination. Nous travaillons tous ensemble comme un. En ce lieu, il n'y a qu'une seule vision. Et c'est d'être le numéro 1.
We all have the right combination. Care and quality, there's no compromise. Win the very best will be our mission. It's something that we need to realize. It's something very special in our eyes.
We are potential. Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got. Yes, we need this position. We can overcome the odds.
We can overcome it all.
To the lead. We are number one.
We are number one.
We are number one.
Machaco, Prudential, Acham, Assalamu alaikum. Prudential, Jambaboti.
Take one more step, reach out for excellence. We'll do whatever it takes to touch the sky. And we'll help each other reach our aspiration. We know that we can do it if we strive.
We are potential.
We are potential.
Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got.
Give it all we got.
Need this position.
We can overcome it all. We can overcome it all.
We are number one.
We are number one. We are number one. We are number one.
We are number We are number
Salut. C'est PruB, votre assistante virtuelle. Je réponds à toutes vos questions instantanément.
Obtenez les informations précises sur votre numéro de police, information de votre police, historique de vos paiements et enfin, les paiements mobiles de vos primes. Je suis disponible sur WhatsApp, 24 heures sur 24.
Prudentials, et Dieu l'a besoin.
Nous partageons tous la même destination. Nous travaillons tous ensemble comme un. En ce lieu, il n'y a qu'une seule vision. Et c'est celle d'être le numéro 1.
We all have the right combination. Care and quality, there's no compromise. Win the very best will be our mission. It's something that we need to realize. It's something very special in our eyes.
We are potential. Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got. We are so in this position. We can overcome the odds.
In our calling,
To believe. We are number one.
we are number one.
We are number one.
Watch out, Prudential, Assalamu alaikum. Prudential, number 14.
Take one more step, reach out for excellence. We'll do whatever it takes to touch the sky. And we'll help each other reach our aspiration. We know that we can do it if we try.
We are potential.
We are Prudential.
Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got.
Give it all we got.
In this position.
We can overcome it all. We can overcome it all.
We are number one.
We are number one. We are number one.
partageons tous la même destination. Nous travaillons tous ensemble comme un. En ce lieu, il n'y a qu'une seule vision. Et c'est celle d'être le numéro 1.
We all have the right combination. Care and quality, there's no compromise. Win the very best will be our mission. It's something that we need to realize. It's something very special in our eyes.
We have potential. Our values real enough. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got. We are so need this position. We can overcome the odds.
In our time,
Nobody prison to believe. We are number one.
we are number one.
We are number one.
Watch that, oh.
I'm Prudy, your virtual assistant. Hello! I'm Prudy, your virtual assistant.
Hello, it looks like the internet is disturbing you guys, right? Hello, hi. Looks like the internet is really disturbing us.
Yeah, it appears so.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Tell me when to start, Fisla.
Guys, we apologize. My friends on the other side of the aisle, they're having some technical challenges. I believe maybe the network. I'm not sure if it's a little slow. But if you just give us some time, just patient a little bit, I'm confident we'll be able to get this show started and get it rocking. So hang tight while they work through some of the technical issues they're having on the other end, okay? Fisla, I can't hear you. If you can hear me, can you hear me? Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Kingsley?
All right, I can hear you. I can hear you now. Good.
All right, good. I guess we're good now. We're good to go. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right. So I'm not going to be alone. I'm going to go with a co-host, Patrick Ile, who's going to help the French audience make the most out of it. All right. So I'm going to introduce Patrick to us. Patrick is the head of recruitment and training for potential acquisition. Very bilingual gentleman. He's been interpreting for great seminars around the world. And we welcome Patrick from you're welcome. And Patrick, welcome.
Thank you, Fisla. Thank you, Kingsley. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Madam Messi.
Good morning, Patrick.
So when we're not talking, I'll just advise you to microphone on mute. So maybe we don't have this interference. All right. Is it better now? I'm sure we're done with the interference. I think that has been fixed. So Kingsley, I want to really appreciate you for your time. I know you're a very busy man. I mean, it's not easy to have an expert like you. I mean, in a country where time is money. But we're happy that you've created this opportunity for us to have this conversation and try to help not just the staff of Prudential Beneficial Insurance, but those who are connected to understand the landscape of investment, how to make the most out of it, what to invest in, especially in our context, given the economic situation and it's all right. So to kick off, Kingsley, just tell us, I mean, how would you define financial freedom? And what are some of the realistic financial goals you think individuals can set and work towards? What is financial freedom?
Yeah, thank you, Fisla. Thank you, Patrick. And no, the technical challenges can create a problem, right? But we're going to walk through it. You know, one of the things I've learned is that hey, when things happen, you know, you don't panic, you pivot, right? So you make the most and the best with what you can. You know, the question that Fisla asked is a very important one, and it has to do with you understanding some very fundamental things that really it's not taught in school, and for most of us growing up, maybe our parents didn't either. For me, financial freedom is simple, and here's how I define it: is having enough of financial resources or money such that it doesn't play a part in my decision making. I'll say that again. Financial freedom for me is having enough of the financial resources I need such that it doesn't have to play a part in my decision making. If every time I want to make a decision, if every time I want to do something that may cost me or that may require some financial input, if that decision is going to be hindered or impacted by money, then I'm not financially free. But if I can make that decision and not worry about what's in my bank account, then I'll say I'm financially free. So in the simplest terms.
All right, Patrick. Okay. All right. Having enough money in my bank account where I can make decisions with zero stress, no worrying about it. Patrick, can you help with that?
Yes, Fisla, thank you. Nous avons commencé, comme vous le voyez à l'écran, par définir la liberté financière et nous la comparerons au but financier. Et Kingsley, notre expert du jour, nous fait comprendre que la liberté financière pour lui, de manière très simple, peut être définie comme le fait d'avoir suffisamment de ressources ou alors d'argent pour, de manière à ce que notre prise de décision ne soit pas influencée négativement par notre capacité financière. Et de manière concrète, chaque fois que j'ai à prendre une décision et que il y ait une conséquence financière qui m'empêche de prendre la décision comme il le faut, qui me permet d'être épanoui dans la décision, ça veut dire que je ne suis pas libre financièrement. Autrement, je suis libre financièrement si je peux prendre une décision sans être étouffé par le volet financier.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Financial goals, Kingsley. So, what would you say? What are some realistic financial goals that you think individuals can set and work towards? I mean, I know that sounds really wide and vast, but I mean, what would you say? I mean, especially for those who are doing 9 to 5, you know.
So yeah, financial goals is a broad topic, right? But you have to start with it starts with you, and really the challenge that I see is that we think so much about money. We do a lot of things with money, but we haven't spent the time to maybe examine our psychology, the way we think about money, and our beliefs about money. Because your beliefs about money is going to influence even the kinds of goals you set for yourself. Okay? If you're working 9 to 5 and you look at your income, chances are you may set very small goals or dreams for yourself, because your basing your dreams and your goals to that income. But your dreams and your goals should not and never be based on your current income. Your dreams are your dreams. So the bigger question is, what kinds of questions do I need to start asking myself so that I can truly paint the picture for the future life that I want? Okay. Your financial goals has to do with some future state. So if you can dream big and ignore any constraints that you currently are experiencing, then that becomes the first step to your discovery and your journey for financial freedom. It cannot be the other way around, where you're looking at your income and then you're setting goals. No. Ignore your income and just dream what you aspire to become. And then we would work our way back from that. Okay? But that's how I'll put it, and that's what I'll recommend. Because a lot of times people, right, myself included, I used to do that. That when I began understanding the impact of what that meant and why I was doing it that way, I changed that approach. Hope that helps. Well, I'll take
Definitely, Kingsley. Definitely. I mean, you set a financial goal. You know, I believe we'll get to a point where we're going to take questions. I think it's important for us to go through maybe what we have planned, and then we take questions towards the end. I just for our guests to be patient, just hang in there. There's a lot that Kingsley has to share with us that will shape our understanding of investment in this our content. So maybe Patrick will want to say something about financial goals, setting financial goals, not depending on your present income, but on what you aspire to have, you know, based on your dreams. From what if I got you from what you said, yeah.
Donc, parlant de buts financiers, c'est-à-dire fixer des buts sur le plan financier, notre expert a commencé par dire que nous devons d'abord examiner ce que j'appellerais le fondement, c'est-à-dire notre psychologie de l'argent. Quelles sont les pensées que nous entretenons par rapport à l'argent, parce qu'elles vont influencer la manière dont nous allons nous fixer des objectifs. Et il a insisté sur le fait que nous ne devons pas nous fixer des objectifs financiers en fonction de notre revenu, particulièrement nous, les salariés. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle il recommande très fortement ceci. Au lieu de partir de notre revenu actuel pour nous fixer des buts dans le futur, il nous recommande de faire le chemin inverse. C'est-à-dire, nous ne nous mettons aucune contrainte, nous lâchons notre imagination, nous pensons à ce que nous voulons être demain et nous rentrons en arrière pour nous dire comment faire pour arriver là-bas. Et il a avoué que lui-même a procédé de la sorte il y a de cela quelques années, mais il a changé cela. Merci.
Oh, thank you, Patrick. I think you got that net on point. Kingsley, I don't know how your French, how much your French is still good, but I think Patrick got that on point.
Yes. My French is very rushed, but I know a little bit, so yes. Thank you.
Okay. So, all right. So moving on, I mean, let's talk about investment options and risk and reward. You know, I mean, what are some of the key, investment options available, and how can individual, maybe we'll talk about first the investment options I think are available for, I mean, maybe Cameroon, Africa, and, the extended part of the world, because
what I've noticed is that people don't limit their investments just in one area and look at, I mean, people spread their investments. So for now, potential staff, stakeholders that are listening to you, they're interested in investment. Yeah.
So Fisla, you were breaking up really bad towards the end, but I think I get the question and the direction you kind of want us to go into, right? Before I start, let me answer another question. The mistake that most investors make or can commonly make and that I commonly see, especially when you're a new investor. One of the simplest mistakes that we make as a new investor is you jumping into an investment without a clear plan or understanding of the risks involved. Okay? If you all know Warren Buffett, he once said this, and I'm just going to paraphrase what he said. He said he never invests in what he doesn't know or what he's unwilling to learn. So investment begins with education. Without the proper education, you are making investments on shaky grounds. So it's not about understanding the different classes or the different assets or the different strategies that you can invest. That there is a plethora of them. But it comes down to education. What are you willing to learn, or what do you already know? Now, what you already know, that could be a good foundation for you to build on. I'll give you an example. It could be real estate, okay? And real estate, you could look at it from two major angles. Land ownership or building houses, right? Where those houses become rental properties. Whichever direction you take, you have to be willing to learn enough about it. The risk involved in real estate, whether it is land acquisition you want to venture into, or you want to venture into building houses, rental properties, you name it, right? Whatever you choose, you must be willing to learn about that space. Without that, your risk becomes extremely unpredictable, because that will mean you will be significantly relying on the directions of others who might not necessarily have your core interests at heart or have the idea and the aptitude to understand what you are trying to achieve, right? Because any investment requires a reason and an outcome. There's a reason why you're venturing into that space, and there's an outcome you seek to achieve. So once you're clear about that and you understand the risk, now you can venture into that space. Now you can start investing. So when we talk about risk and reward, let me define something here for us, because that is a space where the myth is that high risk equals to high reward. The question is that really true? Let me explain to you, give you two definitions that we need to understand. A risk is simply a potential mistake, a potential danger or warning, a potential problem that is yet to happen. Okay, so it hasn't happened, but it could happen if you don't find a way to prevent it, mitigate it, or avoid it. Now, a problem. I'll define what a problem is. Simple. A problem is simply a realized risk. That is to say, a problem is that risk which you did not mitigate or you did not put something in place to prevent or avoid that has now happened. So when you think about those two definitions, ask yourself, if you're about to invest into, again, whether it's real estate, whether it's the stock market, whether it's crypto, what risk are you willing to take with respect to that definition? And do you have the right strategies to help you perhaps mitigate the risks which you want to avoid? Because here's what I see. A lot of people go into investments because they want to make quick money, but they ignore the risk of losing that same money, and in some cases, all of it. So how do you mitigate that risk? If you really don't want to lose, then maybe you have to consider different investment options. Maybe stock market might not be the place you want to play in. Let me stop there for now, so I can let Patrick.
All right, Kingsley. I see you getting all. This is your thing. I see you're only getting all excited and your teaching mode. You just want to get it all out. I love the energy. Patrick. So Patrick can get our audience to also catch up on what
Ok, donc là on parle des options d'investissement comparées au risque et à la récompense escomptée. Donc, ce que Kingsley, notre expert, nous fait savoir, c'est que l'une des erreurs que la plupart des nouveaux investisseurs commettent, c'est qu'ils sautent pieds et mains liés dans un investissement sans un plan clair ou alors une compréhension claire du domaine dans lequel ils veulent investir, ce qui est un gros danger. Et il cite, je dirais, l'un des gourous du monde de la finance, qui est Warren Buffett, qui a dit que nous ne devons pas investir dans un domaine sans avoir la connaissance de ce domaine ou alors la capacité d'apprendre à connaître ce domaine. Donc, pour lui, l'investissement commence d'abord par l'éducation et l'acquisition des connaissances par rapport au domaine dans lequel on veut aller. Donc, ceci dit, lorsque nous prenons l'exemple de l'immobilier, terrain et autres, lorsqu'on y va, nous devons, par exemple, nous éduquer par rapport à ce domaine de manière à pouvoir cerner les risques qui sont liés à ce domaine-là. Et plus nous manquons de connaissances dans un domaine, plus le risque devient assez élevé. Donc, et en ce moment-là, nous nous trouvons à la merci de tous ceux qui vont nous raconter leur expérience et la théorie, et le résultat sera là. Et donc, il y a un mythe selon lequel plus le risque est élevé, plus la récompense est élevée. Maintenant, la question est de savoir est-ce que c'est vrai. Et il a donc défini pour sortir le risque comme étant un danger potentiel, c'est-à-dire soit un problème, soit un danger, soit un avertissement potentiel qui peut survenir si on ne gère pas le risque, c'est-à-dire si on ne mitige pas, si on ne transfère pas, ou alors si on ne prévoit pas. Donc, le problème, lui, c'est un risque qui est déjà réalisé parce qu'on n'a pas bien géré. Donc, et ça, c'est l'erreur que plusieurs commettent, particulièrement, je ne sais pas si c'est le cas un peu partout, mais particulièrement ici en Afrique, où les gens vont investir pour une raison fondamentale. Ils veulent se faire beaucoup d'argent. Et ils finissent donc par perdre soit une partie de l'argent, soit la totalité de l'argent. Donc, en un mot, éducation, éducation et éducation.
Well put, brother.
Excellent, Patrick. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, Kingsley, that brings me now to something that concerns what we do on a daily basis, and it's insurance. So, how can life insurance and other forms of insurance contribute to a long term of wealth building? You know, how can insurance, especially life insurance, contribute into, this strategy, wealth building strategy for Cameroonians and Africans?
Yeah. Oh man, my brother, this one is so dear to my heart. You know, growing up in Cameroon, and for most of you who are online, you probably accept or agree with me. How many of us knew people who were rich? I don't want to say wealthy, who were rich. Probably not too many. I knew a few. Now, how many of us knew people who were wealthy? Let me give you the difference between being rich and being wealthy. The simplest way I'll give that definition is this. If you're a soccer fan, you know Ronaldo, you know Messi. They make a lot of money playing soccer. Their contracts per year is some astronomical number. Now, Messi and Ronaldo are rich, but the guy who writes their paycheck is wealthy. Okay? So, just because you may have a few millions and life is good doesn't make you wealthy. Wealth is about legacy and cross-generational. That means now you have something that is going to go beyond you. If you are a Christian, I'm just curious, if you are a Christian, there's a scripture that says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That's the minimum expectation. So it's not about your children that you should worry about. You have to at least worry about your grandchildren. Molly, do you realize that for most of us, we don't know a lot about our grandparents, let alone our great-grandparents?
Not at all.
Yeah. I don't know any of my great-grandparents. I don't know their names, nothing. But let me ask you this. Do you think if that great-grandfather of mine had left me a piece of land in Cameroon, I would know him? I'll know something about him?
You know his autobiography by heart.
Right? So now, let me help the audience understand the power of insurance. And before I do that, I'm going to give you a simple definition for insurance. Insurance is simply the transfer of risk. I gave you a definition for risk before. Insurance is simply the transfer of risk. The risk that you are unwilling to take, if you cannot protect yourself from that risk, then you can find someone, some company, some entity that may say, hey, Fisland, hey, Kingsley, for a small fee, we will cover this risk for you. I have insurance on my car. Why? If I have an accident, they will cover the damages for me. I have health insurance. Why? if I fall sick, someone can at least pay that medical bill for me, so I don't have to shoulder all the cost and the impact, because every risk usually has a financial impact attached to it. Here's the truth: life always happens, but you can mitigate or minimize the impact that is going to have on you when life happens to you. Okay, so that is the importance of insurance. Now I'm going to switch it. I've given you a foundation. Insurance is the transfer of risk, and now you're willing to transfer that risk to someone in exchange for that financial impact that it could cause to you. Now let me give you a hint. The simplest way to build wealth is life insurance. The quickest way to build wealth is life insurance. Well, with the stroke of a pen in this United States, I have been given the license to print money. Every time I sit with a client and I help them to structure some kind of life insurance policy, I just wrote them a guaranteed check to their family. It is guaranteed money. So let me ask my audience, how long do you think it will take you to leave just 10 million CFA to your family if you die? Let's say you're 40 years old. Let's say you're making good salary in Cameroon. You're making maybe $1 million francs CFA. Now people make good money. You're making $1 million CFA in Cameroon every month. So every year you're making 12 million. But your expenses and your lifestyle is consuming half of that. And let's say, yeah, you can save good. And you're saving, let's just say 100,000 every month. So every year you're saving 1.2 million. So if you really want to say that it could take you at least 10 years, 15 years, and that's best case, because I'm saying that meaning nothing else is happening. So you are disciplined and you're consistently saving 100,000 every year, every month. Now you and I know chances of us doing that very slim. But Mr. Mbola here could write you a 10 million francs CFA policy today, and you could leave his office. On your way home, you suffer a car accident. Prudential Beneficial Life Insurance will pay your family 10 million francs CFA. So there is a book written by a guy, his name is
not cutting you, even by accident we even double the capital. That's 20 million.
There you go. Accidental death benefit. There you go. All right. So there's a guy who wrote a book. His name is Gary Gunderson. In that book, the title of the book is "What Would the Rockefellers Do?" And he outlined how the Rockefellers was able to build wealth so much so that even today his family is wealthy. There is something he said in that book. He said it is way easier to buy your wealth than to work for it. A lot of us, we want to work so we can see our bank account and it shows that we have the millions in the bank account. That is fine too. But it is way
maybe you need to say that again. It is way easy. Please repeat that again. We need to hashtag it.
It is way easier to buy your wealth than to work for it. And life insurance is that tool that can enable that to happen. Now, When you hear a lot of people say, especially in America, and they say, oh, this person is worth this person is worth that, don't think it's money they have in the bank account. It's not always that. In most cases, they have a lot of insurance policies over their head. The day they die, they get that money. But not only that, because it is guaranteed money, it is a legal document, it is a contract. They can take that contract to a bank and borrow money against it. So that's why when you have a life insurance policy, you are also regarded in the financial industry as you are worth that amount. If I have $1 million policy in my name, I am worth $1 million. So my question to you, my brothers, my fellow brothers and sisters, what are you worth?
Oh, our dear audience, listening to us, watching us live from where you're connected, a challenge has just been launched to us. What are you worth? Maybe it's time for us to rethink what we are worth. Before we continue, let's get Patrick to do justice to the French audience. Patrick is very passionate.
Thanks, Fisher, because
so I know Patrick.
Yes, I was already lost in Kingsley development, so I even forgot that I'm the interpreter. Okay, so donc ce que Kingsley a dit, si je peux résumer cela, c'est que là, on parle de l'assurance comparée aux investissements à long terme dans le but de bâtir des richesses. Donc, il a commencé par poser la question de savoir combien de personnes aisées est-ce qu'on a connu lorsqu'on était petit et combien de personnes riches. Donc, il voulait là ressortir la différence entre la personne aisée et la personne riche. C'est-à-dire la personne riche, dans le cas du football, par exemple, nous connaissons des joueurs comme Cristiano Ronaldo, comme Messi. Et il a tenu à préciser que Cristiano Ronaldo et Messi sont des personnes, en fait, je dirais nantis. Elles sont nantis, alors que celui-là qui fait leur paiement, leur manager, ce sont des personnes riches. Certainement parce qu'elles ont quelques millions qu'elles reçoivent chaque mois. Et la différence, c'est quoi? La différence, c'est que celui qui est nanti, c'est quelqu'un qui a un impact financier sur des générations. Ce n'est pas seulement dans sa vie. Et c'est pourquoi il a emprunté l'exemple de la Bible, pour ceux qui sont chrétiens, qui dit que l'homme de bien laisse un héritage aux enfants de ses enfants. Et il a jeté comme ça le pavé dans la mare en posant la question de savoir combien d'entre nous connaissent leur arrière-grand-père. Bon, lui dans son cas, et la vérité c'est que moi également dans mon cas, je ne connais pas mon arrière-grand-père. Et il se trouve que si par exemple on avait eu un lopin de terre ou je ne sais pas un autre type de bien que nous avait légué notre grand-père, on le connaîtrait. Mais on ne les connaît pas. Pourquoi? Parce qu'ils ne nous ont rien légué. Donc ça c'est pour dire la différence entre la personne nantie et la personne riche. Et il a dit également que l'assurance, c'est quoi? C'est simplement le transfert de risque. Un risque que je ne veux pas prendre sur moi, parfois que je ne peux pas prendre sur moi, je décide de le transférer à un assureur moyennant un petit paiement, une portion de paiement qu'on appelle généralement prime. Il a donc dit que, par exemple, lui, de là où il est, chaque fois qu'il réussit à faire une souscription à un prospect, en fait, ce qui se passe, c'est qu'il offre à ce prospect-là un chèque qui est garanti, parce que si demain ou après-demain, quelque chose survient à cette personne, la certitude est là, cette personne aura l'argent qui lui a été promis. Donc, et allant sur une base un peu plus pragmatique, il a posé la question de savoir combien de temps, par exemple, est-ce que ça nous prendrait de constituer un fonds de 10 millions pour notre famille. Je ne vais pas rentrer dans tous les détails, mais faisons un peu le calcul. Si par exemple on arrive à mettre 100 000 francs de côté, ce qui n'est pas du tout évident pour le commun des Camerounais, on va se rendre compte qu'en un an, on sera à 1,2 million et il faudra environ 10 ans pour arriver à avoir ce montant d'argent qu'on va léguer à nos familles. Donc, en fait, ce qu'on peut comprendre de cet exemple, c'est que c'est difficile et même très difficile, ce qui lui a permis de chuter en parlant de ce livre qui a été écrit et où il a été dit qu'il est plus facile d'acheter la richesse que de la bâtir. Parfois, on se dit non, je vais travailler dur pour accumuler assez de richesses. Mais lorsqu'on regarde, on considère par exemple la valeur à laquelle sont estimées, je veux dire quoi, les personnes les plus nantis dans le monde. Parfois, on pense que c'est de l'argent qu'ils ont stocké en banque, mais que non. Il y a cet argent-là, mais il y a également la valeur qui repose sur leur tête. Et dans cette valeur-là, vous trouverez l'assurance vie. Parce qu'une fois que j'ai pris une assurance, la valeur de cette assurance rentre dans l'évaluation de ce que je vaux. Et c'est pourquoi je peux aller en banque et donner l'assurance comme garantie pour qu'on me prête de l'argent et que je puisse réaliser les projets, que je puisse produire de l'argent. Et il a donc chuté en disant, en ce qui te concerne, en ce qui me concerne, réfléchissons-y, quelle est ta valeur à l'heure où nous parlons?
Wow, thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you. Food for thought for everyone watching and those who will be watching later on. What are you worth? That goes not just for you, for me too, and you, Patrick. We need to think. I know we all have insurance. Maybe we need to review our insurance policies, our life insurance policies. Okay. Now, moving on, Kingsley, we are in an environment, I would rather say unstable, maybe even hostile for investment. What would you say? You know, what are your, how can someone protect their wealth from inflation and all currency devaluation and all of that? You know, from the experience you've had and the studies you've done, which of course you've done so extensively because of your passion to finance. We know it's not the same, you know, the rates of inflation and, you know, devaluation. It's not the same for stronger currencies as for weaker currencies. Well, how would you advise someone, you know, on how to protect their wealth?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the way I want to tackle that question is to help folks understand something. It comes again with the goal you have in mind. Now, let me give a framework to help put this in perspective. And this framework is going to come from the product marketing playbook, which maybe you might know a thing or two about this. In product marketing, right, the challenge that a product manager has is twofold. The product manager is always faced with the challenge to effectively determine where to play and how to win. Okay? Where to play and how to win. So think of it like you have a product and you're about to go out, you want to be able to make as much money or generate as much money or revenue for your company. But you have to do a lot of market research to figure out which area you want to play in, which space, right? You want to play in. Because you already have a lot of players in that space, but maybe you're trying to identify which niche you can play in, and then how you're going to win. So where to play is about what markets, what space, what product category you may want to compete in, and how to win is, okay, how are you going to uniquely position your product or services to attract customers and hopefully compete? Okay. What has that got to do with the question he asked? For every one of you listening, your investment decision has to guide you with this framework if you can. Where do you want to play? That means what kind of investments do you want to get yourself involved in? And how will you win is this. How will you, or how are you going to define success? What would success look like to you? Once you can establish those two aspects, now that would help you to guide you to say, okay, how do I now prevent, or what investments can I put in place to mitigate the impact on inflation? Okay. I'll give a simple example. One of the things I've noticed coming to Cameroon every time, I noticed that there's a small sector in Cameroon that seems to be the only one that most people are focused on, and that is real estate and how would I put this, and hospitality. What do I mean by hospitality? Restaurants, lounges, bars, right? Yeah, I mean, Cameroonians, we like social life. We like to do, so we focus on that the most. So today there's this new lounge, there's this new club, there's this new restaurant. So it makes the competition tight, right? It makes the space almost crowded. And there is another part that people fail to even recognize that is there and will always be there. You want to know? Agriculture. Let me tell you this. Since the days of Abraham, or in the Bible days, I am yet to find the price of a cow or a goat going down. I'll say it again. Since when I was able to read my Bible, till now, animals, their price have never gone down. How much we used to pay for a small fowl or chicken is maybe 3 or 4 times that now, right? So why there is man, this is 8 years ago when I was doing my master's in management, and I read an article, and the title of the article was Blue Ocean, Red Ocean. Red Ocean simply meant it's where competition is fierce, right? It's fierce battle and competition. Blue Ocean means think broad, think different. Identify spaces where nobody is playing in that space. I'm giving my fellow brothers and sisters a hint. Go back to the farms. Go cultivate a crop. Go start rearing some animals. Let me share with you a couple of things why I'm so focused on this, because I myself am heavily interested in that and invested in it. About before COVID broke out, the World Bank did a study, and in that study, it is from that study, one of the assessments they made was that if agriculture doesn't pick up, by the year 2050, there's going to be a significant chance that there will be a global famine. I'll give that. And in that study, they identified that Africa has the largest agrarian space, yet undeveloped. Now, I'll tell you a story of a gentleman who was a classmate to a friend of mine that I went to school with her personally. I know her. She's a PhD. She works in the United States works in the United States development, agricultural development sector. This classmate of hers went back to, I believe, Zimbabwe after he finished his PhD in agricultural sciences. And for about 6 months, he was looking for a job, which is what most of us tend to do. I'm going to touch on that. He couldn't find one. But he knew that he had the knowledge to do something. So he decided to start rearing chickens. And those chickens started hatching eggs. And so he started selling eggs in his community, just in his community. But he began growing that infrastructure. He moved from his community to distributing eggs to his town and then to neighboring towns. And now he's one of the largest distributors of eggs in not only Zimbabwe, but in neighboring countries, including South Africa. But it started with probably just a few hands of chicken. You think money is tight in Cameroon? You think you don't have anything to do? There's plenty to do. Let me give you a definition for poor, P-O-O-R. It stands for people overlooking opportunities regularly. Or I'll give you another one. Passing over opportunities regularly. We tend to focus so much on the big things, the flashy ones, and we think that's where the money is. Yes, sometimes money is there. But the little one that you can do with the small income you have can bring about a great transformation. The challenge is that most of us start, but we are not diligent enough to continue. Once it becomes a little tough, we quit. I have news for you. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. If you quit, you will never know what it could have been. All big things start small. All big things start small. Our challenge is we're not willing to start small. You're looking for this. A lot of us, because even there's so much in terms of mindset that is affecting us. That's why the whole issue about money starts here. How you think creates how you live. Because you think you've gone to school and you have that bachelor's degree, you want an office job. And so you despise going to the farm. You despise starting maybe rearing some chicken. You despise rearing some goats. And let me ask you this question. If you and I sat down at a table and I took my family, we went out for dinner, and the bill came, and you did not expect it was going to be that high. But maybe your brother was a farmer. You who was the accountant, the guy who is in the office, you're hesitant to pay that bill. And he pulls it and he pays it without hesitation. What would you think? A few things will probably come up in your mind. You probably think, where did he get this money from and all of that? Because a lot of us have despised the areas that can be the most lucrative. So when it comes to inflation, you have to consider investment options that are inflation resistant. That's how I'll put it. Agriculture is one of those. Real estate is great, no doubt. But when things are tight, even real estate will struggle. Even life insurance. I'm sure Mola can explain or expand on some of the types of products that they have, but there are options that it's not just you paying that premium, that you're making investment contributions, that the rate of return that they can guarantee you or that you can get can outpace inflation. If inflation is at 3% or 4%, and you have your money sitting in some investment tool that can give you 5, 8, 10% every year, then you're doing well because you're outpacing inflation. So it's a very pertinent question you ask, because when we really begin to understand finances and we also begin to understand our own psychology around money, you ask those questions, those questions will help you navigate which tool, which investment option I should put my money in or put my time into. Otherwise, you'll be doing so much random stuff and you have a certain expectation that will never be met. Never. I have much to say on that, but
wow. Yes, definitely. I see Patrick is smiling already. Yes. Wow. I'm telling you, I mean, just one thing you said, which is true. If you take a life insurance policy for 20 years, where a certain percentage of return has been promised to you, let's say 6%, 4%, and as time goes on, while the bank's percentage reduces to, let's say, 2%, that of your policy does not change because that's what the insurer has promised you. So your percentage return is above what the market gives, just to corroborate that point. Thank you, Kinston. Patrick?
Yes, Fisla. Donc, il a beaucoup développé cette fois-ci notre expert. Il a commencé par parler de... En fait, la question déjà est de savoir, au vu de l'inflation galopante que nous connaissons dans notre économie, comment allier investissement et inflation, puisqu'il faut pouvoir protéger son investissement de l'inflation. Donc, et il a commencé par développer en parlant de, comment je vais dire, d'un livre duquel il s'est inspiré, qui parle du marketing du produit. Et 2 points, il a ressorti, c'est il faut savoir en marketing où jouer et comment gagner. Où jouer a tout à voir avec le marché, dans quel domaine d'activité est-ce que on va écouler son produit. Mais maintenant, comment jouer? C'est quelle stratégie est-ce que je mets sur pied pour arriver à battre mes concurrents et à me démarquer sur le marché? Donc, et il est important, donc, pendant que je veux m'engager dans un investissement, de savoir quel est le genre d'investissement que je veux faire, dans quel domaine est-ce que je veux faire, et deuxièmement, à quoi ressemble le succès pour moi, ou bien comment est-ce que je définis le succès, parce que chacun a sa définition du succès. Qu'est-ce qui pour moi sera un indicateur que j'ai réussi? Et il a dit que cela va donc permettre de mettre sur pied une stratégie qui va permettre de contrer l'inflation. Aujourd'hui, par exemple, on se rend compte qu'on investit beaucoup plus dans l'immobilier au Cameroun, puisque c'est de ça qu'il s'agit. Nous investissons beaucoup dans l'immobilier et dans ce qu'il a appelé dans l'hospitalité. Dans l'hospitalité, vous trouverez les restaurants et les comment je vais dire ça, les louches, c'est-à-dire c'est pas des bars, le nom m'échappe, mais un peu ces espaces où on peut prendre un pot et ainsi de suite. Donc, on va beaucoup trouver cela et ça se multiplie, mais il y a un domaine qui est ignoré. Ce domaine, c'est l'agriculture. Et il a parlé de cette stratégie d'océan bleu et d'océan rouge. Il y a des domaines donc, comme l'hospitalité, l'immobilier, qui sont saturés parce que tout le monde y va, alors qu'il y a des domaines qui sont non exploités et c'est cela qu'on appelle l'océan bleu. Donc, lorsqu'on regarde par exemple le prix du bétail et lorsqu'on parle de l'agriculture, il met là-dedans l'élevage également. Il a donc dit que lorsqu'on regarde le prix du bétail, disons ça comme ça, que ce soit la poule, que ce soit la chèvre, depuis le temps qu'il a commencé à lire la Bible, il se rend compte que le prix n'a jamais diminué, il est toujours allé croissant. Donc, cela montre que c'est un domaine qui, de par sa nature, arrive à contrer l'inflation. Donc, il a évoqué quelque chose de très important assez pertinent, c'est qu'il y a une étude qui a été faite, je crois que c'était avant le Covid, qui démontre que d'ici 2050, si rien n'est fait pour révolutionner l'agriculture, le monde va connaître une famine mondiale, c'est-à-dire de partout. Et la bonne nouvelle, c'est quoi? C'est que l'Afrique a la plus grande surface agraire qui, cependant, n'est pas exploitée. Donc, cela montre que l'agriculture est un secteur vierge qu'on peut exploiter à fond. Il a illustré cette histoire par le cas d'une connaissance qui, après ses études jusqu'au niveau doctoral dans le domaine du développement de l'agriculture, l'étudiant ou bien le diplômé est rentré dans son pays qui est le Zimbabwe, cherchant du travail comme vous et moi nous faisons d'habitude. Et il se trouve donc qu'il n'a pas trouvé le travail très vite. Maintenant, il s'est dit, OK, il faut commencer à faire quelque chose. Il a donc commencé à élever des poules. Et nous savons, quand on élève des poules, elles pondent des œufs. Il a commencé juste comme ça, comme en passant, à vendre donc ses œufs dans son quartier. Et devinez quoi, au jour d'aujourd'hui, il a dépassé son quartier, il a dépassé sa région, il a dépassé même son pays. Il est devenu un fournisseur au-delà de son pays jusqu'en Afrique du Sud. Donc, et là, il a mis beaucoup d'emphase pour dire que, en fait, le pauvre, c'est qui? C'est cette personne-là qui méprise les opportunités régulièrement, ou alors cette personne qui traverse avec dédain les opportunités régulièrement. Comme pour dire que lorsque vous voyez des opportunités, lorsque nous voyons des opportunités, arrêtons-nous pour les considérer, sinon nous resterons pauvres. Et l'autre problème, c'est quoi? C'est que parfois nous commençons, mais nous arrêtons. Et il se trouve que chaque fois qu'on fait face à une difficulté, la solution que nous trouvons, c'est jeter l'éponge et se dire, on va se chercher ailleurs. Et il a tenu à faire cette citation selon laquelle les démissionnaires ne sont jamais vainqueurs et les vainqueurs ne se retrouvent jamais démissionnaires. Comme quoi, victoire et démission ne riment pas. Soit vous êtes vainqueur, soit vous êtes démissionnaire. Donc, il a illustré là le fait que lorsque nous choisissons les investissements, nous devons choisir des investissements qui sont résistants à l'inflation. Et l'agriculture qu'il a prise comme illustration est un cas palpable. Et il a donc fini en disant qu'en assurance vie, par exemple, vous vous rendez compte qu'il y a un taux d'intérêt qui vous est promis. Et dès lors que ce taux d'intérêt-là est au-dessus de l'inflation, par exemple, l'inflation galopante est au niveau de 2%, alors que le taux d'intérêt est de 7%, de 5%, vous pouvez être tranquille parce que vous êtes dans le bon investissement. Puis ça a également renchéri en disant que, par exemple, le taux d'intérêt de la banque peut diminuer, mais ce que l'assureur vie vous promet est statique, cela ne change pas. Du coup, vous pouvez également vous réfugier dans l'assurance vie comme étant un investissement qui est de nature à contrer l'inflation. Merci.
Amazing, amazing, Patrick. Amazing. You got everything on point. Right. So, moving on, Kingsley. Let's talk a bit about resources and tools. You know, you've talked a lot about getting educated on investment.
Yeah.
You know, Warren Buffett doesn't get into an area that he doesn't master. You know, so what are some of the tools or resources that you can advise Cameroonians to acquire to improve your financial literacy and to learn more about investment so they can make smarter investment decisions? You know.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good question, right? Again, like I said, the foundation is education. So, I finished my bachelor's degree in 2005. Worked for about almost 8 to 9 years, and then I went back to school to get a master's degree in management. Got that done and started working on some professional certifications. Not once throughout that journey of going to school did I ever pick up a book that deals on finance or personal finance. I'll say personal finance. Why do I say personal finance? Because when you go to school and you go to do that MBA or that management program, you are taught corporate finance. You're taught how to manage somebody else's money, not yours. If you're going to learn how to manage your money, you have to invest your time to learn how money works. How many of us really know how money works? Let me break it down for you to see how bad and challenging this is. If you are a driver today and you do drive, chances are you took driving lessons. So somebody trained you on how to drive. Then they gave you a driving test, which you had to pass before they could issue a license to say, now we're going to grant you the privilege of your driving in the streets. And in the United States, we have cops, police all over, making sure that we are adhering to the rules of the road. So if you violate any rules, they can pull you over, give you a ticket, give you a warning, something, right? Okay. I went to school because I wanted to become an engineer, so I went to engineering school. I learned engineering discipline. That's why it's called a discipline, because you stay there for a time, because they want to keep ingraining in your mind that thinking, how an engineer should think. So for 4 years, that was drilled into my mind, my mentality, how I should think as an engineer. Good. Now, where have you gone to? Which school have you gone to learn how money works, how to use it, how it can work for you? None. Right? But I have news for you. For every 1 year, it starts with reading a book. But I'm going to give you a first book that I'll recommend everybody here to read. Let me see if I can get it.
The richest man in Babylon.
The richest man in Babylon. Very good. That will be the first book I'll recommend, because that book can apply in any region. The concepts and the principles taught in that book can apply in any region. Why do I say so? Because there are different types of resources and tools here in the United States that may not necessarily be applicable there. But I'll tell you this, the concept of how money works is universal. The problem is that you and I were not taught how it works. Because here's the thing about money, which I'm going to share with the audience. It's in that book. The author said this: money makes a good employee, but a terrible boss. I'll say that again. Money is a good employee, but a terrible boss. What does that mean? That means if you are working for money, if you have to wake up every Monday because you have to go to work, that means money is your boss. And so money is a terrible boss. Money will never treat you well as long as money is your boss. If you go to the market and you look at some fresh tomatoes, and another one, you really like to buy this one, but your wallet is telling you that we cannot afford this one. Money is your boss. But when you find ways to put money to work for you, money is a great employee. The challenge is because you don't know how money works and nobody has trained you like you were trained to become an accountant, a financial analyst, a medical doctor, an engineer like myself, a scientist, you're teaching. Money is your boss and you will forever be submissive to it. If the traditional form of education was tantamount to financial success, then all of us in Africa should be the wealthiest people, but we are not. You know why? Because that route was never intended to lead you to financial success. Haven't you noticed that the people who are the most wealthy are most of the time college dropouts, school dropouts? Let me give you a few examples. Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. The list can keep going on. Dangote. So don't forever think that because you have achieved that education and you have those degrees means you're financially successful. It is not about how much you make, it's how much you can keep. Because some of us make a lot of money, but at the end of the month, your bank is close to the red zone. So don't brag about how much you make. But the only way you're going to learn is you have to educate yourself. And it will mean you have to unlearn some things. So there's a quote that was shared by, I think he's a great philosopher, Alvin Toffler. I don't know if you've heard of him. But he said this. He said the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So there are some things that we have to learn, and there is a whole lot of things that we have to unlearn so we can relearn. So it starts with books. Then you can identify some maybe people who can really examine your situation and give you some advice or good recommendations. Because here is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to financial planning, or you name it. I'm going to use an analogy. It's called a GPS. A GPS is a system. Before, we used to actually buy a whole electronic device, but now we all can use our phones as a GPS to go somewhere. Now, the function of the GPS is a simple one, but it's very sophisticated how it works. It's a simple one. The GPS is simply there to help you what is called global positioning system. So it means it can position you anywhere in the world. Nice. Now, what does a GPS need in order for it to give you guidance to where you need to go? It needs two inputs from you. It first needs to know your current location. Then it needs to receive your final destination. Without those two information, the GPS can never give you the direction. Never. Okay? Even if you know where to go, if the GPS cannot identify your current location, it cannot map out a route for you. So I have news for you now. Let me bring it in. You who want to succeed, you who want to become financially free, you who want to at least go beyond something where you are, you have to clearly understand where you are now. And then determine where you want to go. When you've identified those two things, then maybe someone like me can sit with you to help you navigate or map out a strategy, make some recommendations on what you need to do to get there. For most of us, we don't have that. That is your gap. Okay? That is your gap. Where you are, where you want to go, and then how that gap is going to be closed. And one of the requirements to help you close that gap is going to be discipline. There's really no financial success without discipline. There's going to be some sacrifices you would have to make now so you can achieve some outcomes later. In this life, there is no demilitarized zone. It's either hard now and easy later, or easy now and hard later. The choice is yours. But you start by reading some books, financial books. I can recommend a ton. You identify people who can be open enough and objective enough to evaluate your situation. And you also need to be flexible enough and humble enough to accept some correction, accept some suggestions or direction, and then you have to execute it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, nothing happens. They say this: if nothing changes, nothing changes. Okay.
Whoa, wow. If you do the hard things, your life will be easy.
Yeah.
If you do the easy things, your life will be very difficult.
Yeah.
Patrick, it's a lot of
Yes.
knowledge, a lot of that has gone in there.
Yes, I will try to summarize it and
Before you go,
thank you.
Patrick invests in books. Patrick reads a lot of books. I don't know if he's read The Richest Man in Babylon. I read it once, and it's a book I plan to read. And somebody will borrow my copy. I never returned it, so I think I need to get another copy and keep it on lockdown and read and reread. So, Pat, over to you.
Yes, please. Donc là, on parle des outils parce qu'on a parlé de beaucoup de choses, comment faire et tout. On a défini des concepts. Maintenant, il y a le comment on fait pour traverser le pont et arriver à l'autre côté où la liberté financière est une réalité pour nous. Donc, Kiss a parlé de son parcours. Et il a dit en un mot que dans tout son parcours, parce qu'il a fait quand même un peu d'école, vous savez, quand on dit un peu, c'est qu'on a fait beaucoup. Donc, dans tout son parcours, il n'a pas été éduqué sur la finance personnelle. Et il a avoué que c'est vrai, on apprend la finance d'entreprise, fonds de roulement et autres, mais please, s'il vous plaît. Donc, et il a dit que il a appris la finance d'entreprise, mais c'est l'argent des autres qu'on gère. Mais il n'y a pas de livre dans le parcours professionnel qui parle de la finance personnelle, d'où l'importance de s'éduquer, de s'investir dans cela pour pouvoir gérer l'argent. Nous faisons beaucoup d'études pour devenir des assureurs, des médecins, des banquiers, des ingénieurs comme lui. Et tout cela a pour but de nous faire entrer dans la mentalité du domaine. Et nous devons donc faire pareil pour l'argent. Et il nous a fortement recommandé ce livre dont Fils a parlé tout à l'heure, L'homme le plus riche de Babylone. Donc, il a dit que c'est la première des choses qu'il nous recommande, que nous lisions ce livre. Et il le recommande pourquoi? Parce que c'est un livre dont les principes sont applicables à toutes les régions du monde. Et pour l'avoir lu, il peut attester cela. Et il dit également que nous pouvons être rassurés de la, comment je vais dire ça, de la fiabilité de ce livre, de l'efficacité de ce livre, parce que les modes opératoires de l'argent sont les mêmes partout. Donc, et il a donc donné cette citation selon laquelle l'argent peut être un bon employé, mais parfois aussi il peut être un mauvais maître. Et il a illustré cela en disant que si vous avez cette pression-là de vous réveiller tout le temps, de vous réveiller tous les jours, qu'il pleuve, qu'il neige, que vous vous sentiez bien ou pas, et aller travailler. Vous arrivez par exemple au marché, vous voyez une belle tennis, un bon téléphone, vous n'avez pas les moyens, vous voulez bien l'acheter, mais dès que vous touchez, on vous dit que le prix c'est tant. Vous enlevez la main comme si c'est une mamie chaude qui vous avait brûlé. Ça veut dire que l'argent est un mauvais boss pour vous. Mais vous pouvez arriver au niveau où l'argent est un employé pour vous, comme on l'a dit au début. Donc, comme il a dit, tout passe par l'éducation financière. Et à ne pas confondre avec l'éducation académique, parce que si l'éducation académique était fortement liée à la prospérité, à la liberté financière, la plupart des Africains, sinon tous, seraient riches. Mais on se rend compte que c'est plutôt le contraire qui se produit. Donc, nous devons reconnaître, force est de reconnaître que l'éducation académique n'a pratiquement aucun lien avec la liberté financière. La preuve, lorsqu'on cite les personnes les plus riches du monde, on parlera de Dangote, on parlera de Futso Victor, on parlera de Warren Buffett et tous les autres, Mark Zuckerberg. On se rendra compte que soit ils n'ont pas fait beaucoup d'écoles, soit ils ont arrêté les études à un certain moment pour se lancer dans les affaires. Donc, le plus important, ça aussi c'est bon à savoir, ce n'est pas ce que nous pouvons gagner, parce que c'est déjà une chose, mais le plus important, c'est qu'est-ce que j'arrive à retenir de ce que je gagne. Parce que très souvent, avant que le mois ne finisse, on est déjà pratiquement à la ligne rouge et c'est également un indicateur de ce que la santé financière n'est pas bonne. Donc, il a insisté également sur le fait que l'illettré du 21e siècle ne sera plus cette personne, bien n'est plus cette personne qui ne sait ni lire ni écrire, mais c'est cette personne-là qui ne sait pas réapprendre, désapprendre et apprendre à nouveau. C'est-à-dire se défaire de ce qu'elle a appris avant parce que le monde avance vite et apprendre de nouvelles choses en repassant sur les principes qu'elle a appris par le passé et qui continuent de s'appliquer. Donc, en gros, c'est pour dire que nous devons véritablement nous mettre à l'école, nous devons étudier, nous devons faire des recherches. Et il a insisté en parlant en fait, il a pris l'exemple du GPS pour dire que lorsque vous prenez le GPS, il va vous demander quelle est votre destination actuelle et où est-ce que vous voulez aller. Sans ces deux éléments, il ne peut pas vous rendre service. Et c'est pareil pour l'orientation financière. Vous devez savoir où est-ce que vous êtes et où vous voulez aller. Et il a insisté sur le fait que dans le parcours, il faut qu'on sache une chose, il n'y a pas de liberté financière, il n'y a pas de réussite financière sans sacrifice ou bien sans discipline. Ça, c'est impossible, ça n'existe pas. Et il a dit qu'il n'y a pas de zone démilitarisée. Soit, comme quelqu'un a dit, vous payez maintenant et vous vous amusez plus tard, soit vous vous amusez maintenant et vous payez plus tard. La personne a conclu en disant, de toutes les façons, la vie vous réclamera son dû. Donc, vous devez choisir le moment où vous allez vous sacrifier. Si vous refusez, la vie va vous réclamer son dû. Donc, en résumé, il a dit, nous devons lire des livres qui nous éduquent sur, je vais dire, me répéter sur les connaissances financières. Nous devons rencontrer des personnes qui sont assez ouvertes, qui sont assez expertes même pour pouvoir nous éclairer sur le chemin de la liberté financière. Mais nous également, nous avons une responsabilité. Nous devons être assez humbles pour accepter la correction, pour accepter qu'on nous dise quoi faire. Et enfin, non des moindres, nous devons être prêts à implémenter, à exécuter ce qu'on nous dit. Parce que, de toutes les façons, nous aurons beau avoir toutes les connaissances du monde, si nous ne les appliquons pas, elles ne nous servent à rien. Et il a donc conclu en disant, si rien ne change en amont, rien ne changera en aval. Merci.
Fantastic, Patrick. Amazing, Patrick. Thank you.
That means he's paying good. He's paying attention very well, brother.
Very well. If this was an international conference, Patrick would make a lot of money. But thank God Prudential is really paying you some good money, Pat. So before we move to the last question, I just wanted the interim CEO, Madam Mercy, to maybe just say a few words of appreciation, Kingsley, to you. Madam Mercy is the finance director for Prudential Beneficiary Insurance Cameroon, and she's interim CEO. Since I mentioned the CEO is unavoidably, on a mission. So, Madam Mercy, welcome. I can see you.
Looks like the internet has been
Unmute. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Not yet.
No, we still can't hear you. Are you sure you're on mute? I want to make sure
I can see that.
unmuted.
I can see that she's not muted, but I don't know why we can't hear her. Maybe just the internet.
Yeah.
But we see your video is very clear. And we can see you.
Yeah, I think your mic on your computer is probably it might be turned off.
The mic on her computer. Mm-hmm. Hello?
Yep, I'm back.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll just, I don't know. Mercy, are you back? It's probably the mic on her computer, but that's fine. We'll applaud her willingness to pop in to say a few words of appreciation to you, as the interim CEO. I hope if the IT can resolve it, then that would be good.
Yeah.
So, maybe we'll go to the last question. I think this is a question that probably most people want to really know. I mean, that what would you advise? I mean, concerning investment into cryptocurrency, and because a lot of people have lost money. I must confess, I have lost some money too in cryptocurrency. What would you advise? Is it the way to go for the 21st century? Is it advisable for someone in Cameroon, in Africa? Are there platforms to monitor these things? What would you say? Talk to us.
Yeah. So I've already given you guys the foundation, but again, yes, why there's a challenge. For a lot of people, we tend to be heavily focused on making money quick. Okay. And when you focus on making money quick, chances are you will very likely ignore all the red flags that you could potentially see that could even come up. That's number one. Number two, chances are you're not taking the time to learn. Remember what I said about Warren Buffett's principle. If you are going to invest into anything, make sure you are willing to become well educated on that thing. Bottom line. If you're not willing to be well educated on that thing, then that means you have to rely on someone who has the knowledge base to maybe help you navigate in that investment. Once that is in place, then you can proceed. But as long as you cannot validate for yourself that, you know what, this investment strategy I don't really know much about, stay away from it. Stay away from it. I personally, I don't have anything in crypto. Actually, I do. I invested some money in Dogecoin. But let me tell you this now. Here's the difference between a lot of people who are doing the same thing and the big guys. If Warren Buffett or Elon Musk invest money in crypto, you, on the other hand, are assuming that, number one, is the same platform that he's using. Number two, he has the same information as you. Chances are he doesn't. He may have insider information that you don't have, number one. Number two, maybe he has taken the time to study the markets and some of the details that you haven't. Number three, he's probably using his play money. What do I mean by play money? Money that if he loses is not going to make him feel bad or whatever. Okay? That's like his chicken change. It's just like you go shop today in the market and you have 5 francs, 25 francs, you put it in your pigeonhole or somewhere in your car, right? That's the kind of money some of these guys are using to invest in those things, to test it out. But you, on the other hand, you're taking your hard-earned money and you're putting it there. And yet you don't have the foundational knowledge like the other people do. Okay? That's one thing. But again, it comes down to your psychology about money. Why? Because there are day traders and there are long-term investors. So now, guess what? A day trader will come on and say, hey, this thing is selling high, it's selling today, and you buy. So now you're buying when the market is going up. That's when you're entering. You're entering when it's going up. Because that day trader has announced something and everybody's in frenzy and everybody wants to buy. And then that same day trader now will announce another day that, hey man, this thing is going down, pull out. You too pull out. So your whole investment strategy is an emotional roller coaster. Today you're up, tomorrow you're down. Today you're up, tomorrow you're down. No astute investor or seasoned investor does that. None. The problem is that the imagery that we're seeing in YouTube and all those channels make us to think that these big guys are doing that. No wealthy person, in fact, let me tell you this. Most people who are wealthy, they are not worried about making money anymore. They are now worried about how to protect it so it can stay in the family. You see, the foundation for building wealth, every good house starts with the right foundation, right? In the financial arena, your foundation for building wealth or anything, whether it's financial independence, anything, your foundation, it starts with protection. It doesn't start with savings. There are 5 steps to building wealth: income, savings, protection, legacy, transfer. Okay? Income, savings, accumulation or growth, legacy, transfer. Those are the 5 steps to build wealth building. It's not a trick thing. Anybody can do those 5 steps, but of these 5 steps that I've listed, protection is the most critical one. Income as well, because without income you can't do anything else. So once income starts happening, you have to start looking at protection, because here's what we do. A lot of us, maybe we start making money, we start investing in different places and all of that, but we have no protection in place. That's why you have health insurance. That's why you have life insurance. you protect yourself, you protect your assets, such that if anything were to happen to you, all of that hard work can stay in the family. But you know what is happening to most of us Africans, even those who are abroad? We are making all those investments, and then when we die, our family cannot even access those assets. Okay, so protection is a critical piece to the process of wealth building. And when it comes to crypto, my advice is simple. If you are not willing to learn and understand the principles behind it, don't put your money there. It's simple. If you feel like you're risk averse, you don't like losing money, then why play in the stock market? Because the stock market, there is no protection for losing money. So understand your psychology. What are you comfortable with doing? Everything that is good to do takes time. If you are a woman or if you're a lady listening to me, I'm sure you'll agree with me. When you are ready to cook a good meal, it takes time. And how you're going to serve it, you take your time. The question is, why are we rushing with our hard-earned money to put it in places where you don't even have any safeguards to protecting it? If you really want to build wealth, you must give yourself time. Doesn't mean you don't want to make money quick. There are ways you can make money quick. If crypto is that way for you and you really, by all means do so. But you just have to understand the fundamentals and what is at stake. Understand the risk and be willing to either accept it. If you are not willing to accept it, then look for something else. Cryptocurrency, hey, has its way, has its thing, and maybe in some future state, it may become the thing of today. But for all of us who don't even have a clue, either you have to start by having a clue. That's where you have to start. Then you can go play around. I'll say if you want to start something small, test it out, see. But while you're testing, learn. If you're not willing to learn, don't go there. That's just my simplest advice.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. I think it's very critical. I mean, it just goes. I'm happy you've been quoting a lot from the Bible. My people perish, but that perish is in a lot of things. Losing your money is part of perishing for lack of knowledge,
Yes,
and
lack of knowledge. Yeah.
And people, and when ignorance is bliss, it's terrible. There's a lot of I remember I would be losing money. I'm the sole person to be blamed. I went into an area I did not master, and because I wanted to make money, and nothing good comes easy. All right, so we'll get Patrick on. Patrick.
Ok, donc, donc là, on reprend à la question de savoir quel est le conseil par rapport à la crypto-monnaie. On entend parler, je ne vais pas citer les noms des compagnies comme exactement ni le modérateur ni l'expert l'a fait, mais la question est de savoir, lui en tant qu'expert de la chose, qu'est-ce qu'il peut nous en dire? Bon, il a commencé par établir un fondement, c'est que très souvent, et vraiment très souvent, nous nous engageons dans les affaires. Pourquoi? Parce que nous voulons nous faire beaucoup d'argent et rapidement, ce qui est très, mais alors très dangereux. Parce que, comme tous se sont accordés à le dire, tout ce qui est bien prend du temps. Tout ce qui est bien a un prix et il faut être patient. Donc, il a cité l'exemple de Warren Buffett qui a dit qu'il ne faut jamais t'engager dans un domaine si tu n'es pas prêt à étudier ce domaine pour bien le connaître. si tu n'es pas prêt à te soumettre pour aller à la conquête de ce que c'est que ce domaine, ou alors, il a donné une autre option, si tu ne peux pas t'appuyer sur quelqu'un qui maîtrise le domaine et qui est assez ouvert envers toi pour guider tes pas. Donc, il a recommandé fortement de s'éloigner de tout ce qu'on ne maîtrise pas. Vous ne maîtrisez pas un domaine, même si tout le monde court dans ce domaine, n'y allez pas, n'y allez véritablement pas. Lui, par exemple, il a confessé également qu'il il a investi par le passé dans Dogecoin, une entreprise qui fait également dans la crypto-monnaie. Bon, le sort a été comme celui de fils là, il a perdu de l'argent. Donc, et il a dit que généralement, lorsqu'on entend des personnes fortunées, ces grands-là que nous apprécions dans la finance, s'engager dans un domaine, on se dit, OK, c'est un feu vert pour nous d'y aller également, mais il a dit, faisons très attention parce qu'ils s'y sont engagés, certes, comme nous, mais c'est peut-être pas par les mêmes raisons, ça c'est d'un. Il y a ce troisième point qui m'a un peu échappé, mais les autres raisons, c'est quoi? C'est que il a probablement des informations que nous n'avons pas. Oui, c'est le même domaine d'activité, mais nous ne sommes pas au même niveau d'information. Et rappelons-nous que c'est la connaissance que nous avons qui détermine le succès que nous allons expérimenter. Et la troisième raison, c'est que il se serait peut-être engagé avec sa monnaie de change. C'est-à-dire que c'est de l'argent qui, s'il le perd, ça ne fera rien, ça ne va pas le gratter, comme on dit vulgairement au quartier. Et pourtant, toi, tu prends l'argent que tu as acquis à la sueur de ton front et tu vas l'investir dans ce domaine-là que tu ne maîtrises même pas. Donc, faisons attention à être des suiveurs aveugles. Il a également parlé de ce fait, il a dénoncé, on peut le dire comme ça, le fait que notre stratégie d'investissement, en fait, si on peut parler de stratégie d'investissement, c'est une stratégie qui est basée sur les émotions. Aujourd'hui, on entend que tel est ici, on y va. Aujourd'hui, quelqu'un nous dit, oh, oh, attention, il y a le prix des matières premières ou bien des actions qui a baissé et vous pouvez les acheter, vous pourrez vendre plus. Demain, on se jette là-dedans. Demain, il dit que ça a augmenté, on vend. Donc, on fonctionne, comment on dit ça, à tâtons. Donc, il est important de savoir dans quoi on s'engage et de se préoccuper. En fait, il a dit que les personnes fortunées que nous voyons aujourd'hui sont des personnes qui ne se préoccupent plus de comment gagner de l'argent, mais bien au contraire de comment protéger l'argent qu'ils ont déjà pour les générations futures. Et il a parlé de 5 points, ou bien 5 étapes pour bâtir la richesse. La première, c'est le revenu. Il faut pouvoir se faire du revenu. La deuxième, c'est l'accumulation du revenu. La troisième, c'est la protection. La quatrième, c'est l'héritage. Et la cinquième et dernière, c'est le transfert. Et de ces 5-là, les 2 plus importantes, c'est le revenu. Parce que si vous n'avez pas le revenu, vous ne pourrez pas parler des autres étapes. Et la deuxième plus importante, c'est la protection. Donc, il a vraiment mis l'emphase sur la protection pour dire que tout tourne autour de là. Si vous faites de l'argent, si vous travaillez dur pour que cet argent vous sorte entre les doigts, c'est dommage. Et c'est pourquoi Fils disait qu'effectivement, la Bible dit « Mon peuple périt faute de connaissance ». Et cette, je veux dire quoi, périr dont parle la Bible, là, ce n'est pas toujours mourir, mais c'est également perdre de l'argent. Donc, évitons de nous retrouver dans des situations où nous perdons de l'argent que nous avons acquis à la sueur de notre front. Et retenons que la protection est quelque chose d'assez critique dans bâtir la richesse. Donc, et quand on va, par exemple, puisque la crypto-monnaie s'oriente dans ce domaine-là, quand on va dans le domaine des actions ou bien du marché des actions, nous devons savoir que il n'y a pratiquement pas de protection. Donc, c'est sans les gants. Hein? C'est sans les gants que le combat se passe. Du coup, nous devons être suffisamment avisés avant de nous engager là-dedans. Et retenons ceci, tout ce qui est bien prend du temps. Il a pris l'exemple de lorsqu'on veut faire un bon repas, on prend du temps. Et même au moment de le servir, on le fait avec beaucoup de soin. Alors, question, pourquoi courir pour dépenser cet argent-là que nous avons gagné au bout de beaucoup d'efforts? Prenons le temps d'apprendre, soyons patients. Et comme il a dit, si vous voulez véritablement bâtir de la richesse, vous devez, mais alors vous devez prendre du temps. Donc, il a également dit que nous devons savoir quel type de personne, quelle est notre tendance par rapport à la gestion du risque. Est-ce que vous êtes quelqu'un qui a le fond dur, c'est-à-dire qui facilement peut s'engager devant un risque? Est-ce que vous êtes quelqu'un qui a très peur du risque? Est-ce que vous êtes quelqu'un qui a une aversion moyenne au risque? Vous devez savoir cela et en fonction de cela, décider si vous pouvez vous engager dans tel investissement ou dans tel autre. Bref, retenons que tout ce qui est bien prend du temps et si nous voulons bâtir de la richesse, nous devons nous asseoir pour poser le bon fondement qui est l'éducation et avoir la patience du cultivateur pour pouvoir attendre les résultats et en jouir à la fin. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Patrick. Merci infiniment. Kinsley, coming from Facebook, I think Marcel Huza, he's saying most people think you buy that wealth through life insurance for other people, like your children and your grandchildren, which is stupid thinking. Because you have to die for someone to benefit. But I think you mentioned something about the investment, like it's not just about dying. When you outlive the policy, you also have a capital that is, maybe you just tell him a bit about it. Marcel would really like to know, because maybe he doesn't think it's stupid. The people think it's stupid. Maybe we should give them reason why it is not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great point. In fact, let me ask the audience this. If you have auto insurance for your car, it's called car insurance or auto insurance in the United States. If you have health insurance, it's called health insurance, which means it's to protect your health, right? Why in the world do we think life insurance is for dying? Shouldn't the name give us a clue that is for living? It's called life insurance. It's to insure your life while you are living. But because of how it has been taught over the years, and part of it too we have to blame the insurance companies, because when insurance companies started coming up with different types of products and services, and they realized that, okay, hey, well, these temporary plans seem to be appealing because it was cheaper and that's what most people wanted to buy. They had to kind of sometimes change a little bit of the narrative. But the whole premise behind life insurance has always been for living. Always. Don't get that twisted. And so that's why today they keep coming up with enhancements to allow you to actually use it and utilize it for your living, not for your dying. There is insurance for dying. It's called death insurance, or what some people call final expense. Your final expense when you're gone. Okay, this is what we use to pay for your funeral, to pay for your that exists. But life insurance, when you truly can understand it, it is for your living.
Thank you so much.
So it doesn't just have a protection component to it. It usually has a savings component to it. So that way you can also benefit from it while you are living.
Amazing. Patrick is smiling. Because that's his domain. Patrick, you want to translate that?
Yes, c'est ça. Donc, à la question de savoir, plusieurs personnes pensent que souscrire à un contrat d'assurance comme moyen d'acquérir la richesse, bien de bâtir la richesse, c'est plutôt pour les autres, c'est-à-dire pour les enfants, pour les petits-enfants, c'est quelque chose de stupide. Donc, c'est comme si on se bat seulement pour les autres. Et c'est-à-dire ça intervient lorsqu'on décède. Et Kingsley dit, il a du mal à comprendre pourquoi on associe toujours, en fait, il y a l'assurance auto, il y a l'assurance santé, il y a l'assurance vie, et on sait que l'assurance santé protège la santé, l'assurance auto protège le véhicule, et l'assurance vie protège la vie, c'est pour la vie. Pourquoi donc, généralement, quand on parle d'assurance vie, on fait toujours référence, on l'attache toujours à la mort, comme si les seuls bénéfices, c'est lorsqu'on décède. Et c'est là où il dit, ce n'est pas ça l'idée originelle de l'assurance vie. On dit bien assurance vie. Ça veut dire que cette assurance est faite pour entretenir la vie, pour protéger la vie. Et en passant, on se rend donc compte qu'il y a des contrats d'assurance qui sont là pour le décès, contrairement à l'assurance vie. On les appelle frais funéraires, on les appelle assurance décès groupe et tout ce que vous voulez, mais ce sont là des contrats qui sont réservés à gérer le décès. Mais retenons une fois pour toutes que l'assurance vie a pour but d'entretenir la vie et de gérer la vie. Et dans ce jeu-là, il reconnaît que nous, les assureurs, nous sommes à blâmer parce que parfois, c'est nous-mêmes qui avons adopté ce message-là parce que peut-être on s'est rendu compte que c'est un message qui nous permet d'être, je ne sais pas, mieux compris, qui permet de mieux vendre. Et comme ça, ce message a été véhiculé. Mais revenons à l'origine, revenons au fondement de l'assurance vie, c'est pour entretenir la vie. Et c'est pourquoi on se rendra donc compte en conclusion que l'assurance vie a un volet protection et également un volet épargne.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll take like the last question. Kingsley, are you there? The last question, I think Kingsley, maybe he stepped away. But we're just a few minutes to the end of this webinar, which I think has been very enriching and very impactful. You know, investment is a topic that has always been, it's always been a very difficult domain for people to understand, especially in our context where we don't have stock markets, maybe we have this living market, but that understanding, people are always not sure of what to invest in, you know, or people are overzealous. So it's the extreme. We see opportunities, we want to grab them because we want to make quick returns. They're promising us 300% return, 500% return. And then, or we are so conservative about the investment. We just want to keep our monies under our beds, put them in the banks. I mean, and keep saving your money in the bank is no form of investment because the returns are very, very, very small. So somebody wants to know, welcome back, Kingsley. Yeah, welcome back, Kingsley. Somebody just wants to know, like, maybe just a few, maybe as a pointers, the red flags to watch out for. That's in the Salisu. Or what are some red flags to watch out for when evaluating investment opportunities? I know you mentioned it in your conversation. Maybe we'll just go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'll throw a few out there, right? First one is, hey, if someone is just promising high returns, take it with a grain of salt. Why? Because no investment comes without some level of risk, right? If they're guaranteeing that, hey, yeah, you have this, be watchful of that. Are they using high pressure sales tactics like, oh, limited time offer, you must act now? Okay, hey, they're pressuring you. Okay, no, pause, right? Anytime you feel like someone is pressuring you to do something, it's time to pause. There's no need to rush. Give yourself time to evaluate it. Lack of transparency, that's number 3, right? If they're explaining, but they can't clearly articulate or explain or show you some things, right? Is the opportunity too complex or vague explanation? So they're using some very high word, because if the investment mechanics are so difficult for you to understand, then you sure you really want to put your money in something you cannot understand? Probably not, right? If they start using some words that we can't even explain, watch out for that, right? But, and then maybe the last one I'm going to say is, is there an exit strategy or liquidity issues, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're investing your money somewhere, at some point you want to get it out. What does that look like when you want to get out that? Understand those things. Those are some red flags that I can throw out there.
Okay. All right. Mr. Patrick?
Ok, à la question de savoir est-ce qu'il y a des signaux. Yes, are you getting me now? Ok, à la question de savoir est-ce qu'il y a des signaux auxquels nous devons prêter attention lorsque nous nous retrouvons devant des opportunités d'investissement et que nous essayons de les évaluer. Très vite, notre expert a donné les réponses. Il en a donné 4 en termes de signaux. Il a parlé des gains faramineux, c'est-à-dire retours sur investissement qui sont vraiment wow. Et il a dit chaque fois que quelqu'un vous promet, et surtout, il a utilisé le mot garantie. C'est-à-dire, il vous garantit que quoi qu'il arrive, vous aurez des gains et que ces gains sont faramineux. Faites très, très attention. Parce qu'il n'y a aucun investissement qui ne soit pas sujet au risque. Ça, c'est le premier. Le deuxième, ce sont les techniques de vente qui vous mettent une pression folle. Et il est clair là-dessus. Chaque fois que quelqu'un viendra à vous, il va vous dire, oh, il ne reste que 2 heures avant la clôture, c'est une promotion. Après, vous ne pourrez plus trouver cela. Vous aurez vraiment perdu la moitié de votre vie. Faites attention, mettez le pied sur le frein, calmez-vous et prenez le temps de souffler un peu. Troisième red flag ou bien indicateur, c'est que la personne est en train de vous présenter une opportunité, mais il y a un manque de transparence. Donc, il y a des choses qu'elle ne vous dit pas. Donc, vous n'arrivez pas à briser la glace pour savoir exactement comment ça se passe et cela va avec la complexité et les explications vagues. Donc, la personne vous dit des choses, elle utilise des termes techniques, elle vous perd dans cet univers-là, vous ne vous retrouvez pas véritablement. Et le système est tellement complexe que vous devez prendre le doliprane pour calmer les maux de tête et comprendre l'opportunité. La dernière, c'est est-ce que cette opportunité a une porte de sortie? Puisque je peux décider de m'engager sur une voie, mais après, si je ne suis plus prêt à continuer, il faudrait bien que je puisse sortir de cet investissement en ayant des liquidités. Est-ce qu'il y a la possibilité de recueillir ces liquidités et d'en sortir? S'il n'y en a pas, c'est un signal que ce n'est pas bon et alors vous devez vous abstenir de vous engager.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much for that. For someone who wants to know about the books that you recommended, maybe I'll get it later from you and then I'll publish the titles of the authors and locally maybe recommend where they can get them. I know sometimes it's hard to have the French version. Maybe through Amazon France, we can get French versions or some of these. Yeah, yes. Locally, there are areas where we could get some of those books. Yeah. So I think we really want to thank you so much, Kingsley. This webinar was slated for 1 hour 30 minutes, and then we had issues at the beginning. I think we've done 2 hours, but it's because it was rich, and I know a lot of people will go back and rewatch. And my advice would be to take seriously the lessons that you've shared, the tips that you've given, and the fact that you brought it down to the understanding of even, the common man on the street without so much investment in high Wall Street jargon. You really brought it down for us to understand. So, and one of the things which I'm really taking home is, invest in agriculture. Maybe I have to revamp my abandoned farm. I have to go back to it. So, thank you so much, Kingsley, and we look forward to receiving you home. It's a good thing you come to Cameroon all the time. We look forward to welcoming you and even to the company, and take you around, introduce you to a few people. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much, Patrick. I can't thank you enough. And let's do this again under better conditions. We'll make sure the internet is top notch.
Yeah.
And so we can run a webinar for an hour. Take maybe one of the things. I know we've just given highlights, but we can take one subject and then go further and discuss it for 5 minutes so people can get the most out of it. Yeah. So thank you so much. If there are any last words, and then we'll close.
Oh yeah, certainly. Again, thanks. Thank you to Prudential Beneficiaries for putting this together. I definitely want to extend greetings to my good friend Brain. I know he couldn't make it, but I'll definitely catch up with him at some point. But it's really a privilege, right? And I'm humbled that I have this kind of opportunity to start sharing what I really have found dear to me now. I left Cameroon in 1999, so I've been out of Cameroon for a long time. Okay, but what I'm sharing today, it took me at least 20 years to discover this. 20 years. So imagine if someone had helped me understand this or discovered this, maybe just 10 years prior. What would my life look like? So as much as we're having these conversations, it is so profoundly deep how severe our minds have been trained and conditioned to think a certain way. And for you who is in Cameroon, you may be thinking that, he's saying this because he's the United States, blah, blah, blah. No. The most important thing that the United States has afforded me was that it has forced me to really use my mind to think for myself. And that is part of the challenge I see across many African countries. We go to school, we are considered to be smart, but the element of critical thinking is extremely missing. So you'll find someone who has gone to QS as a medical doctor, but he sits in front of a patient and is unable to use that critical thinking skill sometimes to diagnose a common problem. And then now you overlay that with their financial needs and constraints. They don't have time to think. Here's the contrast I see. When I come to Cameroon, I see people who have time and they don't know what to do with it. Here, I don't have time to even think because now my job, or that JOB, in fact, do you know what JOB stands for? Journey of the Broke. So that JOB keeps me so busy that I don't have time to think for myself. But you may think that because I'm making so much money, I'm good. But I could just be one paycheck away from becoming completely wiped out. So here's what I have to say for my Cameroonian brethren. Take heart to some of the things I've shared with you today. If you can just execute 10% of what you heard today, I guarantee you, in the next 6 months, life will begin to look different for you. There's a book titled One Small Step. One Small Step. The Kaizen way for improvement. You see, sometimes we're always looking for the big things that will change our life dramatically. It's not usually the big things. It's most of the time the small things we can do. The lady was asking, how can attendees create a personalized roadmap for financial freedom? I'll give you a hint. Take a day when you're off a weekend, instead of going to that country meeting or going to that thing, can you just give yourself 2-3 hours of your day, of your own time, and sit down and ask yourself those questions that you maybe have been avoiding to ask or you don't have answers for. But ask them that this is what I'm making. What can I begin to put away? What can I start? Examine your own current state of affairs. And then dream of what you say you want. And ask yourself, okay, how can I get there? Let me tell you something about sciences. The brain is an amazing tool. And sciences has discovered that when you ask a question, your brain goes to work even when you're sleeping to find a solution or an answer to that question. So now, here is where asking questions becomes so profound. You go to the market and you see something you like, and you say to yourself, I can't afford it. You have just sent a message to your entire system that you cannot afford that thing. So your system, your life, and your body will work and align itself so you will never be able to afford it. But if you ask the question that how can I afford it? So instead of making a statement which you're pronouncing, you ask a question, how can I afford it? Your brain will go to work, and before you know it, you'll start seeing solutions how you can afford that thing. If you're a Christian, your Bible tells you that what? That you shall decree a thing and it shall be established. Whether you say it loud or you say it within, it has been said. And your whole human system is like an eavesdropping machine. It's listening to what you are saying. And once it picks it up, it will prepare you to receive that answer. So could it be that because of that and the lack of our understanding of how the human mind works, we have been professing things that consciously is not what we want, but subconsciously that's what we believe and that's what we've been saying. For example, life is harder. Nah, I can never do this. I can never do this. Then you go to work every day and then they don't give you that promotion and you're surprised. Why? Because subconsciously you've been shutting down your progress. That is another topic that I would like to dive into, because the whole agenda around money, it starts with this. No matter how much I can give a person, if I don't fix this, you will come back for more. Because poverty begins here. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So if I'm going to change you, I have to affect your way of thinking. That's what I'm going to say.
Whoa. Wow. I mean, if it was just, two people connected, this has still been worth it. Honestly, the closing has been powerful. I mean, I was watching Patrick, and we're all just nodding our heads to this closing. And I'll just permit Patrick to really translate so our French audience can also benefit from what you just said, which is so powerful. Patrick, please. I hope you
especially because this one is the biggest part. So he kept the best for the end.
Yes.
Ok. Donc, Kingsley, il a gardé le meilleur pour la fin. Déjà, Fils a apprécié le fait qu'il a été terre à terre et il nous a donné la voie. Il nous a orienté vers l'agriculture. Et lui-même également est revenu en disant que nous devons véritablement prendre très à cœur tout ce qui a été dit ici. Pourquoi? Parce que notre mentalité a été savamment et tout doucement forgée et conditionnée pour penser d'une certaine manière. Donc, nous devons comme il a dit, on learn, nous devons désapprendre ce que nous avons reçu en béton pour pouvoir expérimenter cette liberté financière. Donc, et il a dit, par exemple, que si nous arrivons à mettre en pratique seulement 10% de tout ce que nous avons appris aujourd'hui, 6 mois après, nous allons réaliser que nos vies ne seront plus les mêmes. Et il a, par exemple, recommandé, il y a une question qui a été posée, comment est-ce que je peux avoir comme comment je peux dire ça, un plan d'atteinte de la liberté financière. Et c'est ce qui lui a permis d'explorer un sujet qu'il a dit aimer avoir l'occasion de présenter une autre fois parce qu'il est très profond, c'est-à-dire poser des questions. Et il a recommandé que nous-mêmes nous asseyons, que nous sachions prendre du temps pour nous-mêmes. Il a par exemple dit, il est aux États-Unis et l'une des choses qu'il a appris, c'est à arriver à se poser des questions critiques. Vous voyez un peu, c'est-à-dire ne pas être ce genre de personne qui est simplement comme un perroquet et qui ne fait que ce qu'on lui dit, mais apprendre à nous asseoir et à nous poser les véritables questions, ces questions que nous n'avons pas souvent le temps de nous poser parce que nous entrons, nous sortons, nous courons tout le temps, ou alors par rapport auxquelles nous n'avons pas de réponse. Et en parlant de réponses que nous n'avons pas, il a dit que le cerveau a une capacité ou bien un style de fonctionnement qui est vraiment étonnant. Étonnant pourquoi? Parce que lorsque vous faites des déclarations au cerveau, vous voyez, on vous donne une tâche à faire, vous dites, oh vraiment, je ne peux pas faire cette tâche. En fait, vous envoyez un message à tout votre système, à tout votre corps, pour qu'il s'aligne sur le fait que vous ne pouvez pas faire la tâche et c'est ce qui va se passer. Et après, on va penser qu'il y a un problème quelque part. Oui, il y a un problème, mais le problème, ce n'est qu'en nous, ce n'est pas à l'extérieur. Et c'est pourquoi il recommande donc l'approche qui consiste à poser des questions. Parce que lorsque vous posez des questions au lieu de faire des affirmations, ce qui se passe, c'est que vous mettez le cerveau au travail, vous mettez tout votre système au travail et comme un moteur de recherche, il commence donc maintenant à rechercher les solutions idoines. Il va venir vous les servir comme sur un château, comme sur un plat en or. Donc, il mettait de l'emphase en disant, la Bible même nous le dit, si vous déclarez une chose et elle sera établie, donc déclarons ce que nous voulons voir et nous le verrons s'accomplir. Mais tant que nous allons continuer de déclarer, oh, je n'aurai jamais cette promotion, oh, on ne va jamais m'aimer dans cette entreprise, oh, les gens me détestent, c'est ce que nous allons vivre. Parce que, pour conclure, comme le dit le livre de sagesse, tel un homme pense, tel il est. Et si vous voulez, et il a même dit, si je donne de l'argent à quelqu'un pensant que je suis en train de l'aider à devenir financièrement libre, tant que je n'ai pas changé ce qui est ici, je perds mon temps. Donc, pour arriver à changer véritablement quelqu'un, il faut arriver à changer sa mentalité. Merci.
Mindset. Thank you again. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you all those who are connected and all those who will be connecting. This is weekend and most people take off time to watch it. Thank you so much. And look forward to having some people asking for when is the next webinar. We're going to plan with Kingsley based on his availability. He said we have a lot of time here. They don't have time in America. Time is money. So we're going to plead with him to squeeze out some time, maybe next month or so, and we plan a short webinar. Thank you, Kingsley, and God bless you. God bless you, Patrick. Thank you. And bye-bye. Next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick, so much for the translation. Yeah, I appreciate it. Great job, guys. And I look forward to having another session for sure. We'll make some.
Thank you, Kingsley.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Have a great evening.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the participants. Thank you for the appreciations. I've seen it, but I've not been able to respond. Thank you very much.
All right.
Wonderful.
Credentials, que Dieu l'a besoin.
Nous partageons tous la même destination. Nous travaillons tous ensemble comme en ce lieu, il n'y a qu'une seule vision. Et c'est d'être le numéro 1.
We all have the right combination. Care and quality, there's no compromise. Win the very best will be our mission. It's something that we need to realize. It's something very special in our eyes.
We are potential. Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got. We are so in this position. We can overcome the odds.
We can overcome it all.
To believe. We are number one.
We are number one.
We are number one.
Watch out, Prudential, Acham, Assalamu alaikum, Prudential, Yambaboti.
Take one more step, reach out for excellence. We'll do whatever it takes to touch the sky. I will help each other reach our aspiration. We know that we can do it if we try.
We are potential.
We are Prudential.
Our values feel alive. We are the people.
We are the people.
Give it all we got.
Give it all we got.
Need this position. We can overcome.
We can overcome it all. We can overcome it all.
We are number one.
We are number one. We are number one. We are number one.
We are number
Hello! I'm PruB, your virtual assistant.
Hi! I'm PruB, your virtual assistant. I answer all your questions instantly. Information on your policy number, your policy information, your payment history, and your mobile premium payment. I am
Salut. C'est PruB, votre assistante virtuelle. Je réponds à toutes vos questions instantanément.
Obtenez les informations précises sur votre numéro de police, information de votre police, historique de vos paiements et enfin, les paiements mobiles de vos primes. Je suis disponible sur WhatsApp, 24 heures sur 24.